First on the show today, an EY study has revealed that companies in India are no longer just testing AI, they're actually using it. Insights from EY's Agentic AI report claim that 47% of enterprises in India have multiple Gen AI use cases live in production, while 76% of business leaders surveyed believe that Gen AI will have a significant business impact. However, an AI talent and funding gap when it comes to Indian companies adopting AI, the report says, may just about be the fly in the ointment. To speak to us about what this means for AI adoption, I am now joined by Chairman and MD at Intellect Design Arena, Arun Jain. Hi Arun, firstly, welcome to the broadcast. You've read that EY study as well as I have. Now, if I were to paraphrase from it, the takeaway simply is just this. Indian companies are no longer just testing AI, they are using it. And from Intellect Design Arena's perspective, how frequent are these AI use cases on the ground today, Arun?
Thank you very much for inviting me for commenting on EY CII. First of all, CII is taking such a big initiative of making AI first. Government is taking, MIT is taking so much interest in AI to be there in the forefront. I think it's a very, very positive news which is happening on India's side. From Intellect perspective, we invested last 9 years back in AI, and our core belief is that AI is not just a technology, it's a new way of thinking, and it's a new way of reimagining your products, your customer, your operations, and your risk. And that's where the India early entry into the space is important. And that's what I'm seeing when I'm talking to the master classes. So I conducted almost 7 master classes on AI, that how to reimagine the business for business impact AI. So now from agentic AI to business impact AI, I think there's a journey has started, but it will take some time to get the right business impact for the Indian enterprises or for the global enterprises coming forward.
Absolutely, and the business impact aspect is no doubt a very interesting indicator of just how much of penetration AI has made. But moving forward, this EY study that we talk about also maintains that a vast majority of CEOs believe that AI will in fact make a big business impact, and 64% of a company's routine or repeatable tasks are already being automated. But Arun, here's where it gets interesting. Companies simply aren't spending enough on AI. In fact, the report says 95% of these companies surveyed are spending less than 20% of their tech budgets on it. Why are companies not coughing up enough?
I think there's on one side, it's a positive report. Second side, when I'm on the ground, I see that there are a lot of pilots are happening, but pilot to production, which require right accuracy, which requires right scaling, and which requires the right LLM cost. All three are the current uncertainties from a agentic AI. At Intellect, when we look at it, you need the garbage in, garbage out in data automation. Similarly, in AI, you need enterprise knowledge beyond knowledge coming from LLMs. So this enterprise knowledge garden is a key value to drive digital expert, not agents, because enterprises for business impact AI need digital expert, not digital agent. Expert is a set of multiple agents come together and orchestration happen where they can ask expertise, perspective, trade question to design the outcome. And that's where Purple Fabric, when we put it together in a for global launch, is trying to help the corporates out. And the cost uncertainty of LLM or the current agentic AI is not getting CEO appropriate result, because accuracy is still 85%, 86%, 88%. For business impact AI, I need 95 to 97% accurate recommendation for driving the larger adoption. And for that, it's a platform-based.
Right. No doubt. In fact, there is a long way to go.
Yeah. So,
right,
and
absolutely. In fact,
for
there's no doubt a long way to go before accuracy is in fact improved.
Yeah. And you need platform for that. You need
fair
a
enough. No, now, Arun, the fact is...
Yeah.
Right. And the fact is that, let's talk about this age-old refrain, platforms notwithstanding, that while AI may be taking over routine tasks, companies are also saying AI skill sets at an employee level simply aren't good enough. Now, we've heard enough about training, reskilling, so on and so forth. But as a veteran in this field, do tell me, is there a timeline or so to speak when companies will finally end up bridging this AI skill gap that they've been speaking of for so long now?
You hit the nail on the head. It's not about the employee. I think I need a management team to be AI native. How many managers are using agents on their hand? AI is a way of thinking where leadership has to get wet with AI. They have to jump in swimming pool of AI because the way they think the organization will behave that way. So they are sitting on the sidelines without actually creating their own agent. So when in my master classes, we did a session in last week in Chennai in our headquarters, where we invited 70 bankers who created their own agents using Purple Fabric. And when they created the agent, then they get a confidence, yeah, I can do it. If I can do it, then my team can do it. So if they don't start from their side, the rest of it is putting a ball in somebody else's court rather than taking something which is head on as a way of doing the new business.
Well, the hope is that we can move on with AI and move on, like you said, to building more digital agents with better accuracy so as to bridge the skill gap and make AI very much a part of the way we go about creating business impact. Arun Jain, on that note, thank you so much for joining us for those insights. Great to have you with us here, as always.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Moving on, just a couple of weeks ahead of Wonderla Holidays' big debut in Chennai, the company's chairman and managing director, Arun Chittalapalli, has said that the company's Chennai theme park has accounted for its largest investment yet. In a conversation with my colleague Snehi from earlier today, the Wonderla boss also broke down some of the company's plans for the Chennai market. Here's a slice of that conversation.
So this is our latest project that we are announcing. It's our largest ever investment in the sector. It's a 611 crore investment. It is going to be one of our flagship amusement parks in Chennai. The Tamil Nadu government has given exceptional support to this project, including a 10-year local body tax waiver for this particular project. The rest of the property we will be using later to expand the park with time, and also to add resorts and adventure parks and other things, and maybe a convention center, things like that. We are talking to Maharashtra government to do a large project in Bombay. We are also talking to Gujarat government to do a large one in Ahmedabad. Also with the UP government to do a large similar project in NCR area. So we want to tackle all the tier 1 cities.
Staying with Tamil Nadu now, Chief Minister M.K. Stalin has hit out at the centre in a social media post over the denial of permission towards constructing a metro rail project in Madurai and Coimbatore. In an earlier letter to the state, the union government denied permission for both projects, pointing out that Madurai and Coimbatore did not meet the mandatory 2 million population criteria to build a metro rail in these cities as per the metro rail policy. However, the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister has alleged that the denial amounts to central bias towards BJP-ruled states as opposed to Tamil Nadu being ruled by the DMK government. Moving on to our other big exclusive of the day, Karnataka will achieve its IT export target of 11.5 lakh crore rupees, well ahead of its 2030 deadline. That's the word coming in from the state's IT and Electronics Minister, Priyank Kharge. In an exclusive chat with the ET Now, the minister also spoke on the recent acrimony between Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka, saying that states shouldn't quote-unquote scavenge for investments. The minister also spoke to me at length about the upcoming Bengaluru airport, saying that a location for it should be announced in a couple of weeks from now. So that second airport well and truly on track there. Here's a slice from our conversation earlier today.
Well, we are already achieving close to 5.3 lakh this year, and the idea is to double it in the next 4 years through services and through GCCs. And I think we will be achieving that much before the targeted policy deadline.
And interestingly, the policy also makes mention of a generation of close to 90 lakh jobs in the same period. But the question that I'm sure is on everyone's mind is that in the era of AI and where companies are looking to shore down the number of jobs per employee, given that automation has come to stay, how viable is this target that you've set for yourself?
Just look at the ecosystem that we have built over a period of time. We corner 47% of all investment in global capability centers. And now, whether it is AI or deep tech, it's getting into various sectors as well, in every possible vertical. And we are supremely confident that we'll be able to achieve it only for the fact that we have that kind of human resource here, that kind of talent pool availability here, that is not catering to the Bengaluru ecosystem alone. Now, if you look at the program that we have devised, the Nipuna program, it says skill locally, work globally. So why can't people who are being skilled in Bengaluru work in Brussels, Brisbane, Britain, anywhere across the globe? And people are looking for our talent pool. And we want to ensure that our reskilling and upskilling programs make our human resource the most employable talent pool in the world.
Right.
So if you ask me, that this too we will be able to achieve in the next couple of years.
Right. As far as your space tech policy is concerned, you've outlined an investment target outlay of $3 billion, I believe, by 2030 itself. Would you perhaps feel Bengaluru may have been a little late to the bus with regard to space tech itself, given that some neighbors of yours have probably already made advancements in this space? In that context, do you feel $3 billion may be too modest of a target? Could you have perhaps aimed for more?
No, I mean, see, the idea is not to compete with the neighbors because we are really not competing with them. Well, they might think they're competing with us. But we love competition anyway because it helps us be ahead of the curve. And more importantly, space tech, we are the leaders, whether it's SME and MSMEs. And more importantly, in our space tech policy, if you've seen it a bit closely, while we are concentrating on upstream, we are also concentrating on the downstream applications. So using space tech, using space apps to solve real life problems right here. So we have also starting a center of excellence in space for this, and we have some of the best industry partners that are here, and we have the ISRO, NAL, HAL. We have the entire ecosystem that is here. Only the launch pads are elsewhere. Well, they're doing the research and development here. They're doing their prototypes here. They're manufacturing here. The takeoffs are happening elsewhere because that's because of the coastal advantage that they have. Whereas, although we have a long coastline, but we also have the seabird project here. So it becomes a little tricky, but everything else of the ecosystem is here.
Right. Well, I have here, Mr. Kharge, I also have to ask you, I did read through the policies yesterday, and a lot of subsidies were also spoken of to a large extent, operational expense subsidies, land subsidies, and power reimbursement as well. And that found a prime real estate on those policies. There's been a lot of discourse when it comes to subsidies in the recent past, particularly in the context of Andhra Pradesh attracting so many investments, largely on account of the massive subsidies they're offering. I have to ask you, is this a slippery slope? And I know you've said you don't want to compete with too many neighbors of yours, but given the fact that subsidies seem to be the order of the day to attract investments, are these states in South India now venturing on a slippery slope?
No, I wouldn't say that we are venturing on a completely slippery slope, but slippery nevertheless. Only for the fact that you cannot try to attract investments by outbeating subsidies and incentives. You need to build that proper ecosystem as well, whether it's Hyderabad, whether it's Chennai, or whether it is Bengaluru. It's taken us 2-3 decades to do so. And it is not just because I have subsidies, people will come to me. It's not because I have land, they'll come to me. Like office space leasing is one of the most expensive in India, here in Bengaluru. And yet 47% of the entire GCC office space leasing that's happened last year is from my city of Bengaluru. We have not offered any SOPs. In fact, we do not offer any incentives and subsidies for investments in Bengaluru. It's always beyond Bengaluru. That's why we have come up with the local economic accelerator programs also, so that we can have cluster-based approach for sectors and verticals. And I think that's working for us, while giving subsidies, incentives, having the central government on your side might work for them, but I don't know how sustainable it will be when you are a hugely revenue deficit state.
Okay. Speaking of competition and SOPs as well, there's been a lot of acrimony in the recent past, especially on social media with regard to Andhra's investments. Retorts from yourself, also Tamil Nadu, taking some criticism on account of losing that South Korean footwear brand to Andhra. The competition is heating up among South Indian states. But I have to ask you, is this good for competitive federalism? We've spoken about it a long time, but the fact that there is so much acrimony with regard to these attractions itself, even considering the fact that Andhra is truly part of the NDA and that could perhaps add to the political flavor that these discourses bring. I saw Mr. PTR here yesterday, your counterpart from Tamil Nadu. So while I understand there is some bonhomie and some warmth, is there also some acrimony between these states and their competition for investments?
No, see, of course there will be competition for investments. All of our vying for the same piece of the pie.
Sure, but the acrimony of it.
Yeah, I mean, see, what happens is we need to see where it's coming from. You cannot scavenge for investments based on somebody's, tweet or anything. Let's be fair. Let us pitch, like you pitch, them pitch. And may the best man win. No problems with that. But looking at, just because somebody complains on a pothole, you pick that up and say that, okay, look, this is what, you can come here, we will do this. Or there's some other social problem, you pick that up and say that that's scavenging for investments, right? We have never done that, and we don't need to do that. But it all depends on who is leading, who is heading the state. But we're not afraid of competition. We thrive in it. In fact, we've excelled in it. And data speaks for itself.
Absolutely.
And we wish them well. I mean, if Chennai is trying to break the mold on startups, so be it. I mean, ultimately it benefits the country. If Vizag is trying to compete with Bengaluru, so that's their aspirational. We don't aspire to be them. They aspire to be us. Means that's good for us, right? And it's like you said, it also works on which side of the political fence you are on.
Absolutely. And keeping with investments itself, Bengaluru's second airport has been of great interest, especially with regard to the context by the state leadership just yesterday. 3 locations, I believe, have been identified. South Bengaluru right now seems to be the front runner. If you could just give us some insight on where the government is heading with regard to this decision making.
We have formed an expert committee to see how logistically it will be good for the movement of passengers as well as cargo, and how connectivity will be better, and more importantly, decongest Bengaluru. Right now, there's nothing in the South Bengaluru, or do we need to do it in the central Karnataka or something like that? So there are 3-4 locations that have been identified, and the expert committee is going to decide that soon, in a few weeks' time.
Right. But do you feel personally, since you're a Bengaluruite yourself, that South Bengaluru might have to be a front runner, given that now there's so much talk about the Hosur airport coming up and people in South Bengaluru would rather board their flights from Hosur?
It should not happen at the whims and fancies of individuals. It should be data driven, and it should help the ecosystem at large. It should not become counterproductive. Although the idea is to ensure that we increase our economy, we increase our global connectivity, domestic connectivity. It should not be a political decision. It should be a data-driven decision, like how it has always been in Karnataka.
Right. Well, Karge, they're making a clear case for that second airport in Bengaluru. Incidentally, the IT minister's take on Bengaluru's second airport comes even as Karnataka Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivkumar promised investors at the Bengaluru Tech Summit that a new airport was well and truly in the works. Incidentally, it was also only a fortnight ago that we at ET Now spoke to BRAL's MD and CEO Hari Marar, who also said that a second airport in Bengaluru was no longer an option but an absolute necessity. Listen in.
The second airport is not really being spoken about specifically to cater to South Bangalore or any of that. See, as the airport has got developed in North, the connectivity between Bangalore and North has developed quite dramatically. And I think while there is still a long travel distance, but I think the city has got accustomed to it. And this that is not really the driving factor behind a second airport. Now, the total structural capacity of our airport is anywhere between 100 and 105 million, right? And this we expect to reach anywhere between 2034 and 36. But that's the ultimate capacity of this airport. But you know, as you will realize it yourself, as we start approaching that, at least 4 or 5 years before that, the peak hours would have already got saturated, right? And capacity will actually become tremendously in short supply at that point of time. The biggest fear that we have is we start choking the connectivity needs of Bangalore, which have a huge compounding effect on the economy of the city and the state. So actually it's us who took the proposal to the government as well, saying that you need to start thinking about a second airport. Because this airport, by 2032 or so, will start creaking at the edges. If Hosur has to open before 2033, then it has to be only, that will be made possible only if we are operating it.
Right.
And we have made that clear.
Absolutely.
Now, if the government of Tamil Nadu decides that we will wait till 2033 and open it, then it will be a bid process and we'll participate in that as well.
Absolutely.
Having said that, I don't think both of them can exist. They're too much in close proximity to each other for both of them to reasonably coexist. I think airport near Hosur, further into Tamil Nadu, might be a great idea.
Coming out and developing the world-class city near Biddi with a AICT also, lot of leaders are discussing on that. We are building an second international airport at the south of Bangalore. Already my industries minister is working out on that. There are no other city to match Bangalore at weather and culture.
Well, lots of excitement there on Bengaluru's second airport, a long-awaited one for residents of the city. Moving on to Andhra Pradesh now. Barely months ago, the seafood industry in the state, responsible for 80% of India's seafood exports, was staring at an uncertain future. Nearly 70% of Andhra's shrimp exports, remember, were to the US, and the Trump tariffs threatened to derail this business. However, in what is being seen as a stunning turnaround, India's newfound seafood export markets in Europe, Australia and Russia are promising to offset the fall in American export orders. Australia in particular is being seen especially as a promising market for Andhra's unpeeled prawn products after the country lifted an earlier ban imposed on the product in 2017, which in turn has provided Andhra Pradesh with new revenue streams to offset the fall in American export orders. Well, on that note, it's all about all the time we have on this edition of South Central, but we'll be back same time, same place tomorrow for more news, updates and conversations on the 5 southern states. For the moment, it's goodbye from us.